Well, finally happened, didn't it? We all knew this day was coming eventually. But how long could we stray on the inevitable? When you get down to it, 2 entire years isn't bad. Especially when the creator himself, of the reason we're here, said he was not going to do this one. But then he also said that with Freezer and plenty of others. So I knew he was going to come round eventually. But here we are. MASAKO X has released his first episode of What If Piccolo Had a Son. I haven't seen it yet. I have prepared it here for our viewing pleasure, just to see what his doubts were originally, and what he's done differently to myself, and just overall, what it is like, how it has resulted, the outcome of the event. A little background. In case this is the first time that you have found me and you're watching the archive sometime later, on August 16th, 2020, I premiered my first episode of What If Piccolo Had a Son on this brand new channel. Or at least it was brand new at the time. And shortly afterwards, MASAKO X, my inspiration, my model to follow in this instance, made a video of his lightning rounds talking about things that he would never actually do. Physically enough, he has recently done something similar with What If Goku Married Tsuno, which I have also created since. But now he has gone back on what he said originally in 2020 about what if Piccolo had a son. Naturally, I had to be here. I had to see it for myself and witness it with you. Something had to be done. Let us consult the chat first. King Piccolo. Welcome. Yes, King Piccolo is one such person who found me, I believe, through What If Piccolo Had a Son series. So let's see what his hypothetical grandchild gets up to when you consult somebody who is, admittedly, a much grander expert on the world of Dragon Ball than I will likely ever be. Let us see. Let us behold. Let us review. So without further distraction, on with the reading. On with the reaction. Oh, and also hi to Lil Bro, who caught me just in time for this. Anyways, proceed.
Hey folks, MASAKO X here. Now, this one is something that has been quite a long time coming. As a lot of you may know, a fair few amount of times, we get very good ideas coming from you fine fellows from our comments, or on our mostly weekly roundtable live streams. But sometimes we take your idea and it kind of evolves of its own accord. Let's have a look at this particular idea.
What if future Gohan had a son who came to the past? Okay, and that apparently evolved into Piccolo, which, again, you, Masako, have posed in the past and referenced it. So how long ago was this idea? When did this come in?
From UKZ Carmine SX1. What if future Gohan had a son who came to the past? Now, this is all well and good and something that is quite curious, but
I mean, frankly, I would just have what if Pan came to the past. That would make more sense.
You can already tell that this doesn't match the title of the video that you clicked on, or if you got it in your notifications by clicking the bell icon. We can make this premise a little crazier. Just you wait. Now, normally I would...
Oh, right. Okay. I'm going to make a little bit of a prediction here. So in the video where he said he wasn't going to do What If Piccolo Had a Son, he proposed that what people must have meant was that he would do that somewhere down the line in the future. Like if Piccolo decided to randomly sire a child sometime when maybe everyone else was already dead, you know, during the Dragon Ball Online time or something like that, which granted I know nothing about. So the difference, of course, I'm expecting would be sometime in the future, and the sun will travel to the past, based on, you know, so that instead of going through the online time, which people don't know as well, Masako will stay somewhat in the comfort zone of his audience and mostly focus on Z. As he has mentioned before, he is more familiar and more comfortable with that kind of content, which, if you're familiar with Team 4-Star, makes perfect sense.
Provide a more detailed premise going into this, a justification for this story. But this time around, I want to go straight into it.
Actually, wait a minute. Before he continues, that is one other thing. When I was originally doing my What If Piccolo Had a Son, well, I mean, I say that like I've stopped. I haven't stopped. In fact, the next What If video itself is going to be the future timeline of that particular installment of What Ifs that I can announce already. Okay. However, I'm glad that he's going through the justification, because I have seen, of course, I wasn't the first one to do What If Piccolo Had a Son. I believe I was the second, but people have done it since. Okay, but the people who have done it since, most of the time, they go the route of the different synaptical firings, for example. I wanted a justification, much like Masako did, and I came up with the idea of him being born in the heat of battle, much like Piccolo himself was. Well, I mean, King Piccolo is watching right now. He can verify that fact. So that's why I went the route that I did. So I'm guessing that the justification, again, prediction time, the justification is going to be that Piccolo was all on his own and would want to sire a child to actually, you know, continue his long centuries of life with. Okay. And that's what he said in the 2020 video. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. It seems that he's found another way to get this character into the Z timeline without them necessarily being born there. Oh, and there we go. King Piccolo confirms. And little bro says that makes sense. Good. You're with me so far.
And give you a slow burner introduction as to why we came to this conclusion and diverted from our original premise and supposition. I think you'll start to understand why. So with that,
I think I know
let's set
already.
the scene. So this story is one not set in the original timeline of Dragon Ball. I just want to stress that at the beginning, but the future one. All of the happenings here originate within the future timeline, starting in age 767, when Goku tragically succumbed to the heart virus after his time out in space. Now, I know that some of you may debate in the comments about where Goku got the heart virus from in the first place, but since this was a variant of a virus never before seen on Earth, I'm personally going to chalk this up on this occasion to something coming out from the inky blackness of space up there. So,
okay, one thing that Masako has gone back and forth on in different what-ifs is actually whether Goku got the heart virus from going to Yardrat or he didn't. I think at one point he actually said that Goku was just patient zero of an actual worldwide pandemic eventually from Earth, which I guess possibly the androids or / cyborgs got rid of unintentionally. That seems to, I don't know, maybe. But a lot of people also have said that he got it from Yardrat. But then again, also Masako himself has used the Goku never went to Yardrat excuse if he wants to keep Goku in the story without succumbing to the virus. So I personally have no idea. But yeah, I maybe, yeah, in this instance, he's going to he's doing more of the back than the forth, if that makes sense. I don't know what I'm saying.
let's roll with it for now. Clearing, Yamcha, Tenshin.
Oh my.
They survived. I mean, perished, but what about Big Green Masako did?
Why should this matter if it takes place after the runt died? No, the runt hasn't died yet. That's the point. The runt is one of the survivors of the future timeline.
Did he make it in our version of events? See, as much as we would like to have it that Piccolo survives in this version of events for some miraculous reason, that wouldn't really make much sense given how strong the androids were by comparison.
He's not going to.
Trunks and Gohan were the only ones of the Dragon team who survived. But Piccolo can change what he does.
he's gonna do the birth of the egg thing like I did, but in the future timeline, isn't he? I have shot myself in the foot here with all that prediction.
In the lead up to his demise, he decides to
Yeah.
make one last desperate move, something that his father did in a similar situation, and
Yep.
brought him into the world. Before Piccolo dies at the hands of Android 17, Piccolo is able to spit out an egg when...
There we go. Thank you very much. I'm off. Something must be done. Something must be done. Something must be done. Proceed.
He manages to get a solar flare off on the droid and get some temporary cover to do so in peace. His luck is short-lived though, when 18 does eventually catch him. She wearing some very strong sunglasses. Oh please, she said with disdain. That little light show is all you got? Pathetic. 18 finishes Piccolo off, with 17's pride taking a metaphorical bashing. Despite this blow for our dragon team with the loss of the pickle, Piccolo did successfully hide the egg from the androids in time. Neither of them were any the wiser that it even existed, and they also couldn't sense energy, so they just flew off from the area to find more meat to fry, leaving the egg safe and sound. Despite both he and Kami's deaths, the curse befalling he and the former Guardian of Earth no longer being hereditary, the egg was safe from that. The remaining Earthlings under very stealth...
Wait. Oh, okay. Right, so here's another question. So again, in my version, the curse, the lifeline curse passes on from Piccolo Jr. to Guzhang, who, in case people haven't seen the What If series, Guzhang is the name that I gave to this particular, the baby Namekian, Piccolo's son, because it's also a name of a Chinese instrument. It makes perfect sense. Right. Also, actually, I will say a lot of people in the old in other scenarios, they usually use the name Nail for some reason. I know that it's also a Namekian name, and it's also making other ones of the character. One person also said Drum after Piccolo's brother, but Piccolo never actually met that brother, so I don't know. I've seen plenty of scenarios of this playing out. But yeah, what I was trying to get at here is this is pretty much the same situation as when Goku kills King Piccolo before. Sorry, touchy subject there. But for some of the viewers. But yeah, when that actually happened and King Piccolo met his unfortunate demise, he was able to still spit out the egg, and it was spat out, and he was alive for a while longer before succumbing. So presumably, again, it would happen the same way to Piccolo, which is why I had the curse transfer to Guzhang. But in this instance, why is it that Piccolo Jr. is the end of that cycle and Kami dies? Is it just so the Dragon Balls don't exist anymore? Which, incidentally, I had to find a fix around that for the next one. But you will see that soon.
Of these circumstances can faintly detect something at the last place where Piccolo was sensed, prompting the surviving members to go and investigate. When they get there, they encounter the egg, and come to the conclusion that their former Namekian anti-hero had laid it. They then figured out that it didn't in fact contain Junior's reincarnation. It wasn't as simple as that, but a whole new Namekian.
Oh, that's what he's going for here. So because it's not a reincarnation, that's why it doesn't count. I suppose that does make sense. In my mind, it was always because he met his death right before hatching it. But in this instance, yeah, maybe it is because of the reincarnation that it just happens to be. He doesn't have that. Okay, fine. All right, we'll roll with it.
This was a brand new soul being gestated. As Bulma was willing to safekeep the egg, her feeling quite broody after having had a baby boy herself, Gohan promises that he will protect both it and Trunks from any danger going forward.
And there's a huge contrast with my one, because in my one it's Guzhang who's constantly trying to protect Gohan. Well, you got to give your character some flaws, give your OC some stuff to overcome. That's some advice that actually I got from Masako himself in a different video of how to make a Dragon Ball OC.
This added responsibility and duty does carry forward quite a bit, and changes the future Gohan persona quite considerably. We're not going to be getting such a tough nut from the history of Trunks, but he's still going to be cool. Because of the addition of this egg, Gohan takes on some seriously major duties. During his safeguarding of it, he thought about it for a while. This egg was kind of weird. I mean, no weirder than a regular Namekian egg, which in of itself is pretty bizarre.
I mean, Gohan's never really seen a Namekian egg in this story, so I suppose.
As well as the way it was laid, it seemed to have really odd markings, and it would gently shake and vibrate every now and again. Stop it. It was more active than most eggs that Gohan was familiar with, given his studies. And even though his studies went out the window with his role as lead defender of Earth, and there was nothing that Chi-Chi could do to say anything against, he knew enough about eggs to get by. But despite this was still something our heroes had no experience in handling whatsoever. Do they need to sit on it? Keep it warm? Not leave it alone? What?
No. See, the standard procedure, of course, is to let the egg float down a river and then actually have an old couple pick it up and move it, making an homage to the story of Momotaro, and then it will hatch properly and proceed to murder everything.
None of them had a clue. The one thing Gohan did know is that usually eggs tend to hatch after at most a few weeks, but for some peculiar reason, this egg refused to hatch for 3 years. As Bulma recalled from her previous experience with the Namekian development, 3 years from the moment the egg was laid was the time that it took for the now late Piccolo Jr. to grow to his adult size. The egg hatched not long after it had been spat out of King Piccolo's maw.
I feel like I should address this because I will say, there you go. Yes, shouldn't have hatched already. All my kids are born in a day or at most. Yeah, I was just thinking that. And also, I will address this right here because I will probably won't have another chance to talk about it properly. In my version, obviously I had Guzhang age a little more slowly than his father did, and the reason I did that was not only to match the actual growth of regular Namekians, because I looked up that they usually take about 8 or 9 years to reach maturity, but also because I found it more interesting to keep this thing as a child, because as a child and as something was like, it was completely dependent on the person it was trying to protect, Guzhang became a help sometimes, but mostly at the beginning, a liability. He was an extra challenge to people, especially even when he was going to his own home planet, which allowed for actually more drama. Because I see in a lot of the What If Piccolo stories, again, the other ones, that usually, with a few exceptions, but usually the extra pair of hands either it does nothing because the power scaling is too vast at the beginning, or suddenly becomes like another ruthless fighter, like a carbon copy of its father, because usually Piccolo is still around and has birthed it before the Saiyans come around. I usually do it a little bit later, and therefore it's just again another pair of arms, which brings it another set of problems. If anyone wants to do a what if and they want to actually like bring a character turning good or something like that, or do what I did and actually have 2 characters turn good in one story, then beware that the extra pair of hands has to come with some sort of consequence. Again, they can be a help or a hindrance, and it's good if they can be both. Oh, and but I'm not going to put this on screen, but Jakob Victor says, this egg knows that world is effed up, so he hides. I suppose, but if that's the case, it's not going to hatch anytime soon. So we'll see.
Entire life cycle was already out of whack. What about this one? What was so different about Piccolo Jr. than his dad? Simply put though, the new Namekian child was simply not budging, refusing to get out of his eggy home. Was it even alive at this point? Bulma simply had to
I mean, that's a very good point, because I guess Namekians don't really need to survive on much, but have they been watering it? Imagine them just watering an egg, because they're like, oh, well, Namekians can survive on water, so we just do this. Like Gohan is insisting that they just like put it in the water periodically.
Check many times for her own sanity's sake, and indeed, the Namekian inside was still living. It was fine. completely healthy. He just was not wanting to leave the safety of its shell is all. It was at about the 3rd year of this when Gohan started to properly visit the egg instead of just watching the egg. There is a difference. He started to talk to it, like the person inside could hear him, telling him stories on occasion. Gohan wasn't sure whether this would work or not, but he recalled that he heard that people in comas and babies being given music to listen to or being talked to would have some sort of internal reaction.
Can you imagine Gohan singing like his if anyone has seen the World's Strongest movie or like a clip from it, there's actually a scene in that movie where Gohan is dreaming about like has a whole like sequence of this upbeat like chibi song that pops up all about Mr. Piccolo. So can you imagine him singing that song to Piccolo's son? That actually would be somewhat adorable. I mean, even if he is like a teen at this point, it doesn't matter. Oh, hold on. I clicked off for some reason. Okay. Seeing 3 years of watching the egg almost as like as watching paint dry. Well, we're a third of the way through this story, so we'll see if it picks up.
Some sort of stimuli. So why not try it here? It would at least stave off the boredom of having to gaze at an egg for hours. And wouldn't you know it? After a few months of this new routine, the egg did hatch. The baby that came out was silent, very nervous. Initially, he was similar in look to Piccolo, but he was a slightly different shade of green. We'll call that shade Big Green for clarity's sake.
Of course.
It was quickly decided by all present that Piccolo's son would be named Bansuri, a name which the little guy actually responded well to. A Bansuri, by the way, is an ancient side-blown flute made of bamboo from the Indian subcontinent. Just so you know, I've got to keep the nomenclature of namekian, the musical instrument thing. Gohan took...
Thank you! I knew that if there was one person who would actually do that, it would be MASAKO. Because actually, again, he inspired the idea of me to actually, like, again, focus on the name puns and stuff and actually keep that at that consistency. That's why when I mention, like, whatever names people put in suggestions for future characters, I make sure to tell them, like, what the actual thing, what it's supposed to be based off. Which is why we got, for example, the suggestion of Kuri recently after Aisukurimu, which, of course, you know, ice cream. Again, we will get to that. That's not for the Piccolo story. And yes, your legacy of instruments continues, even though that's actually what most Namekians, if not all of them except for Guru, actually have in the name. So I'm not sure if it's your thing. Oh, Artroid, hello. Join me as I slowly descend into madness and despair at as the day that I knew would come, ever since this channel was created, has finally arrived.
Took his duty of protecting the little Bansuri very seriously, as he would take him outside in a baby carrier wherever he went, even to his earliest training sessions with the now grown-up Trunks. Bansuri was quiet, but not a problematic child at all.
Okay, missed opportunity here. He says the now grown-up Trunks. Again, if it wasn't for if they thought of this whole thing with the 3 years before, I would have suggested actually moving that up, because again, you can actually have an interesting dynamic if, you know, poor future Trunks actually has somebody his age to grow up with, even if they do age at different rates. That's got to be good for you. In fact, it's one of the reasons I like the dynamic between Gohan, Guzhang, and Dende in my version, because Gohan actually has childhood friends that then, you know, continue to be around. But yeah, otherwise, no, he is Gohan the Mandalorian protecting small green guy in this version. I mean, given the time, I was never actually going to have the thing be his age, but it could have happened. It could have happened for Trunks. That'd be more interesting. So I found out today that butchers get pig's head immediately after being decapitated. Eyes, brain, teeth, everything is left in there. Not as gross as you think, believe it or not. Well, I am a vegetarian, so to me, any meat consumption is inherently repulsive to me. But in general, I suppose not as gross. Again, I guess considering if you work there, then you're gonna be used to it. I'm pretty sure most Namekian names in the Namek Saga are slug puns. Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought that nail was, like, again, a different type of musical nail or something like that. I'll have to look at that. Actually, I will bear that in mind.
Less so than Piccolo Jr. was, and if he ever got noisy, it was mainly due to him getting separated from Gohan. But as the years passed, it was quickly becoming apparent that not only was the egg's development weird, but the person inside was it too, even when it was out. Bansuri wasn't growing up or maturing, he just stayed the same. Bulma recalled that while Piccolo might have been a special case, and as such his progeny should have been one as well, she remembered one time that Mori had said something about Namekians growing up to adulthood much faster than most biological specimens, including humans. So
8 or 9 years.
There was some consistency between regular Namekians of Big Green, but after all these years, 2 years, Bansuri remained about the same size.
Well, I guess in this case, he's probably going to make it so that he can actually walk or something. It's not just a full-on baby. Bansuri is introverted. He is like me. Well, there you go. When making an Namekian in Xenoverse, I named him Hammer, as in hammer and nail. Yeah, I think honestly, yeah, because a lot of you obviously found me and followed me due to my similarities in style to MASAKO, which again I'm fully aware of. I think you lot are particularly trained up in the ways of actually of name puns and nomenclature.
That he was when he was born, and was still unable to speak, despite being able to completely understand what others were saying to him. Maybe they adjust to the conditions in which they were born in. Maybe there's a benefit for Bansuri to stay younger for longer in order to lay low. All of this.
Well, they did well again. Drum and tambourine and cymbal didn't end up adjusting at any point. So I doubt that's the analysis. Bulma would know that.
It's Bulma's speculation. Piccolo had to grow up faster to fulfill his father's revenge, right? Maybe he just wanted his son to be safe while we tried to take out the androids. Gohan was pondering this too, trying to find any sort of rational explanation for what was going on here. It was clutching at.
I named my Frieza Cack volcano. Frieza Cack volcano made its cosmos more magma and volcanic-like. I mean, that is a good contrast. Does CAC stand for contrasting alternate character or something? I don't know. If so, either way, good plan. Good plan. My 3 Saiyans are called Ash, Asparagus, Sprouts, Brussels sprouts, and Onion. I believe that Sprout is actually the name of one of the Saiyans that was in, like the Mr. Popo's training thing. During the time they were acquainted with the pecking order and the power of the Saiyans. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was one of them. It's not the one who was like, yes, and comprised of many sinister fingers, which we shall use to tear their limbs one by one. It's the other one. But yeah, I think that was a name. Either way, doesn't matter. Sprout was supposedly an ancient Saiyan, so I guess that the name could come back around again. By that logic, I suppose that that Shallot and Giblet might actually be names at some point. Who knows? Frieza race called Ray for short for Reizoko fridge in Japanese. Hey, you know what? That's actually that actually I'm glad you brought that up, because I think recently, like in the Gine episode, the 5 subscriber special, I mentioned that people seem to think that the Arcosians were Frieza's race, but that was never actually implied in the show. In fact, when I remember the name of Arcosians before, but I then just looked it up and it's like they're entirely different. In fact, a Geekdom 101 video educated me on the Arcosian association, which I had never heard of at that point. So essentially, Geekdom was seemingly annoyed at me for something that I had not done. Anyway, and yes, Jakob, it's those Saiyans, the ones you're thinking of. I won't put your comment on screen, but it's that one.
At straws, and he knew it. Bansuri had no illnesses or conditions going for him, though her medical equipment wasn't really that calibrated to deal with the Namekian healthcare. as much as she would have wanted. It passed muster. It was enough to tell that he was okay. Years continued to pass, and Bansuri still wasn't growing as Gohan grew. However, he was very attached to Gohan and kept traveling with him and Trunks everywhere. As you can probably imagine, Chi-Chi, who also got kind of attached to the little guy due to the fact that Goten isn't born, wasn't really happy that the baby was being constantly taken into such dangerous situations. Mr. Popo wasn't much help either, as Kami didn't really have much memory about his ancestry. The only odd...
Okay, hold on. So Kami's still alive at this point. So... Oh, or unless he's trying to say that he doesn't remember what Kami might have told him because Kami himself didn't have memory when he was alive.
Happenstance, though, that he could recall was that it seemed like Kami was expecting his demise. It was like Piccolo had contacted him telepathically moments before their deaths.
I mean, it's not like he wouldn't have known about it anyway because he sees everything, but sure.
But that was to be expected. Still, at this point, though, Gohan was the one to decide what was what, and everyone had accepted him as the proper caretaker of Bansuri, his surrogate son. Time continues to march on, and we finally get to year 780.
Oh, I see why Gohan had why Bansuri had to age slowly. It's so that we could have the parallel between Piccolo raising Gohan and Gohan raising Bansuri in return. There we go. And question, yeah, would I ever do what if Frieza or Cooler had a kid? Maybe. I mean, to be honest, I like Masako's interpretation much more than anything I could come up with actually for that particular situation because I didn't even know that Kuriza was a thing. Maybe what if Cooler had a kid at some point? You know, potentially if he was annoyed at the fact that King Cold had essentially dethroned, disinherited him and cast him aside in favor of Frieza. Perhaps if he were to try and sire a child, he could actually be in the space, have the motivation of claiming the empire in the name of his father, of the child's father. So, actually, yes, why not? Potentially. Again, I've got enough stories for the time being to actually run around and such. But actually, I was going to debate this, and I'll say this now because there's a decent gathering of people here, unexpectedly. I actually made a promise. I've talked to the other members of the Butter Bunch about this, and I mentioned way back in the day the idea of creating a Discord server. I mean, obviously focused on the what ifs on my end, but then also maybe like the stuff that they do, like the Pop Goes Arcade thing now, some of the playthroughs in the past, ideas, suggestions, that kind of thing. And the idea at the time was actually rejected, but it was rejected because BB in particular didn't feel like we had enough of a following at the time. So what she said then was the fact that if we actually got to 500 subscribers, then that would be the moment to create a server. So I ask all of you, the now 5 people that are still here, would you be up for joining a Discord server? I mean, I can just make it right now after I finish reacting. I was planning to do an announcement for this kind of thing, but I might as well. I don't know. I might as well just create something and send a link now, and then work on like converting it as I go. That'd be a good chance to it. Yeah. Okay. Well, great. In that case, I will go ahead and do that. So yeah, stay put after we finish reacting, because I will then create the link and send it in the chat for all of you. So yeah, don't go anywhere.
Gohan and Trunks were busy training together, and everyone had pretty much accepted that Bansuri was just going to be a baby for the foreseeable future. They kind of moved on from that instead of trying to force the poor little guy into growing up prematurely through medical intervention or verbal encouragement. They just accepted him for who he was.
Oh, well, you're here.
There,
hello.
And Piccolo's plan hadn't been entirely in vain. That being the case, though, the danger still wasn't gone. And although being with him did put the little guy in danger, Gohan considered himself to be the only one who could safely look after him. In his mind, if he could not protect him, nobody could. This was a good motivator for himself in general, and thusly meant that Gohan trained even harder than he did in the original, Trunks benefiting from this too. The little Namekian and Trunks also became good friends, and Bansuri spent a lot of time with the pair of them. and Bansuri was rooting for Trunks to become a Super Saiyan as well as Gohan. Despite his lack of speech, he could draw shapes and letters in the ground, and would often draw the spiky hair outline of a Super Saiyan.
I'm just imagining Bansuri being like the type of like cute mascot character essentially, or the child character that's constantly around and actually, you know, attracts what the nostalgia critic affectionately referred to as the all girls. I assume, of course, that applies to all guys and all envies as well, but it doesn't quite flow as well. But yeah, I don't know. I guess Bansuri has become like the Kana Kobayashi of this series, if anyone knows who that is.
Point to Trunks and give him the thumbs up. As the two Saiyans learned of the androids' attack on Superworld, they decided to go there and take them on, together. Bansuri quickly gets the attention of 18 though, who considers him to be some sort of a cute pet rather than a person to try and off. But the two Saiyans were very much determined to keep their charge safe. It ends, as you can probably imagine, with Gohan losing his arm, but he does keep both Trunks and Bansuri safe.
Alright, and the question right now is Bansuri learning how to dodge, or doge, as it says there. I don't know, I'm guessing that Masako's about to say that Gohan knocked the pair of them out this time instead of just Trunks. Maybe? I don't know.
The two retreat to Capsule Corp, where they resume their training. Gohan is well aware that Trunks is still not fully ready to go Super Saiyan. He wants to resume training with him though as soon as possible, but when the androids attack Pepper Town, he has to go there and fight himself. Trunks pleads to go with him, but Gohan knocks him out.
Oh,
for a moment, he looks at the confused Bansuri, whether or not to do the same, who raises his little hands upwards to go with him. Gohan backs down. Sorry, little buddy. It's too dangerous. You stay here with Trunks. He'll protect you when he comes to. This causes Bansuri understandably to cry. He didn't want that. But Gohan wasn't willing to put them both at risk. The crying, though, wakes Trunks up earlier than it does in the original, who sees what has gone down and takes the baby carrier with him, deciding to go to Gohan with the baby and support his master. The two make it to...
I love that idea. Hey, Trunks will protect you. He'll keep you safe. Oh my goodness, baby, we must go into battle. Away. That's why you don't have hero complexes. I'm gonna put the lights on. I keep going to do that.
To Pepper Town, just when the androids were about to finish Gohan off, but he is still alive for the moment. Trunks, though, can't help him. He's paralyzed with fear, but he's trying to get up the gusto to fight. It's Bansuri, however, whose safety convinces him to stay hidden and not go in ultimately. As the androids drop Gohan's lifeless body to the ground,
Trunks switch brains with Goku here. Yeah, seems that way.
leaves the carrier on said ground, transforming into Super Saiyan out of blind fury and despair, desperately trying to fight the androids. As Trunks is being pummeled though, Bansuri, while sniffling and crying, slowly walks over to the body of Gohan. He says, takes his little hands out, and something happens to Gohan's body. While Trunks isn't able to defeat the
so is Bansuri meant to be a member of the Dragon Clan here instead of the Warrior Clan? Well, I suppose that Kami and King Piccolo were from the Dragon Clan that gave birth to a warrior, so I suppose this works. Why not?
Androids,
and with that, Gohan had a family reunion in the heat of battle. Oh, unlike in Mandalorian, apparently. Oh, okay. Is maybe Bansuri is less of a Kana Kobayashi and more of Baby Yoda? I don't know. I admit I have not seen The Mandalorian, so I'm just going by what I've heard.
Almost killed himself. Gohan, miraculously, rushes back in at full power, seemingly completely healed. He even had his arm back. This surprises the androids. What? How did you guys do that? Humans aren't supposed to regenerate arms.
Yeah, also, good point. Can namekian healing regenerate arms? I don't recall. And I don't know if he's a necromancer, King Piccolo. I think it would be different if Gohan had actually been dead before, but yeah, I don't know.
What? As Gohan manages to distract them with well-timed ki blasts, he buries them under some rubble. Before they can free themselves, Gohan, Trunks, and Bansuri are already gone and back at Capsule Corp. No one could exactly understand what just went down.
So they just left the androids in Peppertown. I guess they still destroyed it then? What?
But Gohan could at least piece some things together. Him remembering that his friend Dende had healing powers, but Bansuri did something more than that. Way more. Gohan was dead. He brought him back to life.
Oh, so he is a necromancer. Okay, right. I see. Okay. You know what? That's an interesting diversion. You know, I thought I was clever with my namekian with wings and key based body shield, but no, I like this too. Oh, and I'll love always keep it up. Thank you, and I shall, possibly in Discord form as well. Again, stay tuned.
Yeah, granted, he'd only just died, and there were bits of him that were still.
Oh, but by the way, also worth pointing out, my name isn't actually Butterbunch. My name is Jacob. It's just the Butter Bunch is comprised of 4 different people. That's why we're a bunch. Just clarifying.
There were, and there may be some caveats to this skill, but maybe that extra time in the egg and time spent in his infant-like body meant that maybe his powers were just... wow. It was almost too much to think about. But despite all this, the fact Gohan was back was amazing.
Again, I don't think it's zombies in this case. Maybe, oh, I guess maybe if they've been dead for long enough, then yeah, the other Z fighters could just come back. I'm just imagining Yam just going like Wolfgang Fist, and like running, slightly toppling forwards while the wolf animation plays. I don't know. Meanwhile, Krillin's like, Destructo Disc! Oh no, my arm's fallen off!
They had a second chance. If only he could find him a proper Namekian mentor to truly tap into what he was capable of.
Yes, if only there was a way to get to Namek.
Think of what he could do. The new Guardian of Earth, perhaps. Meanwhile, he was both angry and thankful to Trunks for coming back for him.
Maybe Bansuri can go work and can subject himself to Popo's training.
With this experience behind them, the two of them trained even harder, though they agreed to remain hidden in case Peppertown happened again. This situation, though, had proven to be very traumatic for Bansuri. I mean, that's quite fair since you just saw your parent die. When Bulma then set upon the idea of the time machine, Gohan was training Trunks, who at this point was well into mastering Super Saiyan, but still way too weak to destroy the androids. But Gohan did realize that a journey to the past could not only benefit that timeline or this timeline, but he could also get some answers from Piccolo and Kami while they were vertical. It was decided.
Ah, I see. Namekian mentor. Okay, so Kami is dead then. So does that mean that, okay, so fine, so Kami died along with Piccolo. Fine, that's what I thought originally, but the whole Mr. Popo memory thing kind of threw me off there for a second. Then again, who knows, maybe Mr. Popo is high and seeing Kami again, like in Abridged Season 3. You never know. Imagine using Zombie King Cold as some mutant form Resident Evil. If there was any character that I think would end up being zombified, I don't think it would be King Cold. I don't think anyone wants to zombify him in particular. But who knows, maybe that was a contingency plan in case his little princess got a little bit too carried away with his quest for domination. I don't know, maybe.
That Gohan would be the first one to leave for the past with Bansuri in tow. Then he would take Trunks, as the time machine was fueled and ready to go. Gohan was given slightly different clothes to be not so obviously associated with his past self. They had no idea how time travel operated. They didn't want to be just going in there and causing a random paradox now, would they? He also dons...
Oh, by the way, I'm just going to address this. You should do a what if Piccolo got turned into an android, infinite energy and regeneration, he'd be OP. Okay, I don't think I would end up doing that one because one thing I don't like necessarily making the characters too overpowered. I know that in What If Raditz and Nappa, they have ended up, Goku in particular, as he is now twice as strong. But I have tried to stave off that because I want it to be as logical as possible. I'm just saying that having Raditz around has actually made him increase to that extent. And I've gone through that journey to make sure it makes sense. I guess you could say that, but I don't like doing stories with the specific purpose of making an OP character, because that then gets rid of all the difficulties that character would end up facing later on, and thus makes the story much worse because there's nothing to overcome. And Dragon Ball is nothing if not about overcoming obstacles. Yeah, Zombie Frieza, I guess, could be. Maybe you could argue that Mecha Frieza's kind of zombified, but maybe not. And yes, time for this future Gohan edition. Time for beating the daylights out of Frieza and King Cold. Well, we shall see. Yeah.
Some battle armor, pauldrons, designed after what was left from Vegeta's clothes. As he undertook his initial journey, he discovered when he got back to the past that Frieza had just arrived on the scene, looking for revenge. Good. Some showcasing of power was in order. Make him seem more persuasive. Also, it had been a long time since he had had a win. He needed this. This was much needed catharsis. Frieza, though, was utterly baffled when he saw this armoured individual with a baby carrier just show up. I do not recognize you. Are you a new filthy monkey? Or a namekian babysitter? I'm sorry. I know that Saiyans and Namekians have become fairly chummy as of late, but I certainly did not expect this. Gohan looked Frieza in the face. Bansuri, cover your eyes. This could get ugly. As Frieza was attempting to mock them.
Nah, Bansuri's definitely going to be peeking and being like Chaozu going, whoa, brutal! I don't know.
Even more, Gohan charged at the Emperor with Bansuri and the baby carrier, with a strength that Frieza and Cold were not expecting. As he put his fist through the Emperor's stomach, he grabbed him by the tail and literally whacked King Cold with his own son, using Frieza as a weapon. The Frieza soldiers tried to protect their leaders, but were quickly overpowered. As the two evil tyrants lined up nicely, Gohan evaporated them with a low-power Kamehameha to rub salt into the wound, prompting the remaining Frieza soldiers to escape. But he left.
I guess Future Trunks is not the one to claim the only person to have ever killed Frieza title. All right. I get you. What about if Pilaf wished back Demon King Piccolo back to life in time between Cell and Buu, then have Piccolo Jr. and King Piccolo fuse? Okay. I don't think... Yeah, thank you, King Piccolo. Didn't I betray him? Yeah, exactly. And also, not only that, you didn't only just betray him, King Piccolo, but you also made him your subject, which, for the proud Pilaf, he was actually... he was at your mercy because he didn't want to do anything, but he was not happy with the situation. So, yeah, definitely, if he wished for anyone, if he wished for somebody who would be a bit more subservient, although it is my understanding that in Super, he is responsible for part of the Resurrection F arc, so maybe he didn't learn from his mistakes as much as I thought, honestly.
Let them go. Gohan then turned to the Dragon Team, his heart pounding. There was Piccolo, Yamcha, Tenshinhan, Vegeta, Krillin, everyone! And Bansuri looked confused at all of them. He then turned to Piccolo. Then he happily smiled at the preteen Gohan. Dada!
Oh, hey, hold on. Please make what if Frieza and Goku were sent to Earth? Okay. By the way, all this is happening right now. Is great. I'm just saying that will be, and that'll be extended hopefully in the server. So again, stay tuned for that. But yes, I bet. Okay, I'm glad that all these ideas are surfacing right now. Okay, so on that note, about the Goku and Frieza thing, the thing to remember in this situation is age, because bear in mind, Goku being sent to Earth as a baby, that's fine, but Frieza was already fully grown by then. So if he got sent to Earth along with Goku, he would just blow it up, or exploit its resources, or just call for backup or something. Like, Zabon, be a dear and bring my ship to me. I require a little bit of assistance. But don't worry, the problem should be exterminated quite soon. That's what I imagine. So again, I don't see much of a scenario there, I'm afraid.
He yelled loudly. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. If you like the idea of...
Oh, hold on a second. Whoa. I need to focus on that cliffhanger. Hold on. Go back.
To Piccolo. Then he happily smiled at the preteen Gohan. Dada! He yelled loudly. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.
I do love the fact that Bansuri recognized seeing Gohan, even though Gohan himself disguised. Okay, fine.
If you like the idea of Gohan changing the future timeline, check out this full story here, where Gohan survived fully.
Oh, this is where he would probably be putting like an end screen or something, but because I've got the downloaded video, you can't see that. So check the video in the description of this stream if you want to see the original video without me pausing every 5 seconds. And yeah, cliffhanger and JoJo style. Yeah, you gotta have cliffhangers in there. I mean, my girlfriend said that herself in terms of the other stuff that I do. What if's possibly exempt because I do cliffhangers in those all the time. I don't know. My son's 11 and he's already a father. Yep, well, he was a surrogate father by age 9, so there's that too.
And became something more. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!
This music is not nearly as ominous as it was last time. Well, in honesty, in all memes and jokes aside from, me going insane, yes, I did know this day was coming originally, but I was prepared for it. I knew the fact that I wasn't going to run into the exact same scenario that Masako had done, would plan, because, well, he hadn't planned it yet. And as much as I do model my video style and I guess my process of what ifs on Masako to an extent, to a great extent actually, I know that I'm not the same person as him. I know that we have different styles as far as like, logic or pulling a Toriyama, and also a different variety of background information about the series. I don't know if there's anything that was based on that Bansuri's powers are based on in this case, bringing back the dead. And again, it is Dragon Ball Death is but a passing mosquito bite in most situations, except the future timeline. So I guess that evened itself out eventually. Could he create a zombie warrior army there? I mean, I guess only time will tell that matter. So yeah. I suppose in this case of where he was thinking about what if, future Gohan had a son and came back to the past or whatever. There you go. I guess future Gohan had a surrogate son and came back to the past. I think that's what he was talking about. So maybe it was that prompt, and that was the reason he changed his mind about what he said in 2020 about the Dragon Ball Online stuff and everything. And yeah, Masako himself did in fact say that no person owns any particular what if style. I didn't create what if it got a son anyway. There was already somebody who had done that by February of the same year. I just did what I usually do and provided my own spin. I like to joke about the fact that, whenever I get an early start on Masako, because most of the time he's the reason that I do certain things, like most of the things I do on this channel. So that's just why I joke about that. So no, I'm not going insane. No, I'm not resentful about this. And honestly, I was expecting this to be my favorite interpretation other than my own, but obviously I'm biased. But my favorite interpretation other than my own of the What If Piccolo Had a Son story, because it actually is way more unique in that regard. Because most of the time it's, again, during the Saiyan saga, Piccolo just goes, bleh, egg, and okay, let's fight Vegeta and Nappa now, that kind of thing. So yeah, exactly. See, you get the idea, Jakob. I get a head start. That is until Masako shows up. Yes, precisely. So yeah, I'm not mad, and I am certainly not disappointed. And that's where I would conclude things for the time being, but I promised you all a server. So let's go ahead and just make that right now. Let's see. Oh, I have to scroll all the way down. Yes, bear with me for a second. Let's do this. I'm in like 200, hopefully not 200 servers. I'm in roughly 200 servers. Because let's see. The Butter Bunch and you. There we go. I'm because I do a lot of voice acting, particularly for gacha projects, and a lot of them either get cancelled, they don't tell me, or they take quite a while to make. So I am in quite a few. Let's upload a picture. I do have a bunch of logos saved. So let's see. Logo. There we are. All right, and create. I will send the invite, and hopefully people have stuck around because I can't actually see what on earth is going on right now. Right. Invite people. The invite link expires after. Never generate new link. I have to actually assign roles and stuff, don't I? That's another thing. I haven't made a server in quite some time, so I'm afraid. But yeah, talk amongst yourselves, I suppose. I will read your comments afterwards. Right, the maximum role shall be that bunch member. I apologize. I'm just ensuring that pandemonium doesn't immediately break out because I haven't thought of all the different things that I do. Okay, perfect. Now I shall send the invite link to people. All right, there we go. So I apologize for that. It will have likely appeared already by the time that you see the message, but yes. Let me just see. What if Frieza and Goku sent? Yeah. What if Frieza was sent to air to make Frieza character different and he don't like to kill? Okay. How would it, I guess that would mean that Goku would have to be on planet Vegeta for longer, or the you know. Because obviously, if he's trying to convince Frieza to change his ways, then he would have to already have his ways somewhat set before. But then if he was the same, he wouldn't have hit his head, and the whole situation happened. So, I don't know. I don't know if that one would work. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Gine and Frieza along with Baby Kakarots. That's possible. Jacob says, I'd like to show some of my ugly gacha things. Yes, if you want me to review them on my main channel, then by all means, because I've been doing gacha review for longer than I've been doing what ifs, actually. Okay. I'm gonna put it there for debate. What if Vegeta defeated Goku in their first fight? Then the Earth would most likely have been destroyed because he had no Dragon Balls left there. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it depends. Okay. Alright then. That could actually be an interesting thing because then I guess most of the Z fighters who died on the planet would have gone to King Kai and then they would have, I guess, been dispatched in Namek later on if he was to go there. Eventually they have to translate away quick enough. I don't know. That's one that can really have possibilities. No, I mean, he did defeat him in my opinion. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yes, fine, I suppose. You know, there was definitely a victim of happenstance later. I can see where you're coming from. Alright, that was a very anticlimactic ending to this stream. I suppose go ahead and join the server if you wish to do so. I'll put a comment on this for anyone watching in the archives. And let's get this started. It means I don't have to edit an announcement video. It's already there. Fantastic. I'll do it anyway, probably, because I've got my VTuber for that as well. So yeah, I also didn't bother trying to set up my VTuber for this because I thought having myself and my beautiful reactions would be more appropriate in this case. So yeah. Okay then. Deku defeated Goku as Ozaru just got beat up by Ozaru Goku and then by Team Spirit. Yes. So fine, he defeated Goku, but the team is what won out. I guess Goku's ultimate power, of course, was the power of friendship. Because why not? King God disappointed if Frieza and punished him and sent him to Earth. Oh, so kind of what if Frieza turned good situation that Masako did is just much more specific and much more thought out. Okay. I guess on the threat of retribution from his father, maybe he would actually behave himself a bit more. Okay. I can see that. You know what? Let's make a section for that in the server, and let's get chatting away. As Masako says, let's get the discussion going. And as for everyone else, obviously, to anyone right now or in the future, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you all soon enough. Oh, sorry, leave your thoughts, of liking or disliking, and leaving your comments or your server discussions on where things can go. And I shall see you all soon enough for another Lost a Bunch video. Toodle pip.